Hi, everybody. Erica here from In the Company of Cards. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here a minute, welcome back. I use Lenormand to see what's going on, and there's a lot going on. So, as you can imagine, I'm going to be focusing on this whole Epstein thing in this episode, uh, and also 47 and his Venous insufficiency. But there's a lot to look at. So I'm just gonna, I've got as I always do, I've got a page of notes. I like my handwriting, pretty neat, don't you think? Anyway, page of notes just to remind me what I want to talk about, so I don't go off the rails. I could still go off the rails because mine there's a lot to go off the rails about. But let's take things one at a time, shall we? So, venous insufficiency, which means that arteries uh, pump blood to everything. The veins push it back up. Venous insufficiency is a condition whereby the veins in his legs cannot push the blood back up to the heart. So it pools and then fluid pools around the ankles. I mean, I have to say, I've seen pictures and his shoes must feel really uncomfortable on his feet. I mean, as an empath, I'm like, God, they must feel like they're cutting into his ankles. But at any rate, what I want to know is that it? Now, according to the White House doctor, who is no longer Doc Ronnie, it's a different guy. Aside from venous insufficiency, 47 is in perfect health. I mean, okay. Uh, There's a lot of speculation, of course, that is it a sign of congestive heart failure? Because sometimes the swelling in the legs can be a sign of that. But this is separate and distinct, they're saying. They're calling it venous insufficiency. What I want to know is less about whether that's what it is. I mean, he's obviously in ill health, bad shape, bad diet, poor sleep habits, high stress level, evil character, entertainment purposes only, and allegedly YouTube. So, and he's a person of a certain age. Uh, so he's on the downslide instead of the upslide. So there's that. But what I want to know is not so much, that about the venous insufficiency. I want to know why now. I think there are three possible reasons why we were given the news when we were, which is yesterday. Uh, Reason number one, was it unavoidable? I mean, we all see the pictures, we're not blind, so was it unavoidable? Two, was it to garner sympathy? Because he is certainly a man besieged at the moment. Or three, was it a distraction from everything that's going on? Which is kind of the same as number two, but I thought I would draw three cards for each of those options and just see what they look like. So, why are we being told now about Trump's Venus insufficiency? Uh, you know, did it all of a sudden come on him? No, it did not. That's not one of those things that just suddenly comes on you. Okay. So is it because they had no choice because everybody was taking pictures and seeing what was what? So I'm going to draw three cards for it was unavoidable. I'm going to draw three cards for to get the sympathy vote. And then I'm going to draw three cards for, just sort of to distract us from other news of the day, like Epstein stuff. Okay, so was it unavoidable? Okay. Uh, was it to garner sympathy? And then was it to distract us? Okay. I'm going to say kind of all of the above. So the first option, was it unavoidable? Because, I mean, everybody can see it. He looks terrible. Well, we get an interesting combination. I've told you about this combination before, the coffin and the lily. When you see this, it portends the the demise of someone. But the third card in the trio is the stork. So in other words, it was to make the situation seem better than it actually is. I knew that was the case. I mean, okay, I'm not saying it's not venous insufficiency, but you don't get that out of nowhere. And it does connotate, again, being on the downslide instead of the come up. I mean, it's not good. This is the card. This is the card combination for death. So first off, I think one of the reasons that we were told yesterday is, to have people think, oh, it's nothing like this. It's just venous insufficiency. It's not that he's dying or anything. It's not congestive heart failure. It's not, anything heart related because they were very clear to say that it was not heart related. Well, I mean, it kind of is heart related because the blood is the pump for the blood that goes through the body. So, I mean, it's not that it's not heart related. The blood cannot go through his veins up from his legs back up to the heart. So, come on. But it's trying to put a better spin, positive change, better spin on what people are saying, which is that he seems like here's a big word for you today, moribund, moribund. It means deathbound. Okay. A second option, was it to garner sympathy? So we have the tower, crossroads, and we have the house. Um, I do think he probably feels like a man besieged. Uh, this feels like, you know, Crossroads feels more like it's distraction. Like, don't look over here, look over there. And then we've got the White House. So was it for sympathy? I don't think sympathy. I don't think that was the reason. It doesn't feel right. Um, was it a distraction? This is always a yes. And then we have the ring, and then we have the rider. Because we've been on this Epstein train for a while. You know, they were hoping that this messaging, which is the rider, we've been on this ring for a while. They were hoping that this messaging would be a way to distract, would be the answer to their problem. Oh, the poor thing. Now, it's less about sympathy because those cards didn't feel right. I think if I had to pick one, it's this. It's the first one that they know everybody noticed. Everybody's talking, everybody's asking questions. He looks terrible. He looks like he's got one foot in the proverbial grave. Entertainment purposes only and allegedly. So they wanted to change the messaging. Okay, that's that. That was the easy portion of our show today. Now we move on. Okay. Now, okay, there's the whole Epstein thing, of course, right? And we now have this note, the birthday card, where he makes these cryptic, not really cryptic, um, comments about a secret that they share, and it's a great secret. We know what the secret is. I mean, you got to be an idiot not to know that the secret is uh, we SA little girls allegedly, and well, it's not really entertaining, but we'll just say allegedly. Uh, he says he didn't write those words. He says he didn't draw that picture. However, our governor, Governor Newsom, came with receipts, proof to show that 47 is not beyond picking up an artist's pencil to do a drawing, which he then would sell. He drew a skyline. It was a Manhattan skyline. So I mean, he's a doodler and a drawer. Maybe not of late, I don't know. But back in the day, yes, there is proof positive that he is a doodler. I'm not going to go into what the doodle was that he drew for Epstein. You can find that pretty much anywhere. But let's just ask the cards. He says he didn't do it to the point where he is now suing the Wall Street Journal for libel. I mean, big yawn, right? Whom doesn't he sue? So that's no big news. But I just want to know, did he draw that and write those words? So I think I'll use the letter um, for the birthday message. Did he, was that his contribution to that birthday album that Ghislaine or Ghislaine or however you want to say her name, Maxwell, put together for him? There were lots and lots of messages from his many friends and associates, Epstein's, and 47 says, yeah, I didn't write that. I didn't draw that. So let's just see. We'll use the letter. Okay. Okay. So we're looking for the letter and we want to know. He says he didn't do it. He's suing the Wall Street Journal for libel. I may draw clarifiers, but I may not. We have the coffin again. We have the woman. We have the letter. We have the mountain. And we have the young man. Don't love this young man there because I think it confirms, yes, he wrote it and he drew it. This is him wanting to shut that whole thing down. This is Ghislaine Maxwell. And I'm going to look at her in a minute. Um, Here we have the letter in the middle. He wants her to deny that this was from him. That's what he wants because he doesn't want people to know how he was back in the day. By the way, he would still be that way if he could, but I suspect his venous insufficiency is getting in the way of things, allegedly. So he is really trying to keep it quiet, but with that coffin and that mountain, anything he can do to shut it down, he uh I'll let you watch me, sorry. Okay. So coffin clarifiers are the tower, the crossroads, and the book. I mean, he really wants to shut it down. He is feeling besieged and isolated because everybody's calling for transparency in this. Both sides, all sides are calling for it. He'd love to distract, and this is about things that are hidden. This was an album that this letter was found in with this drawing. So that's what he wants to hide. I can mirror these two. He wants to hide that album, okay, or that letter in that album and deny that he wrote it. Now we have Ghislaine. she was in possession of this album that had all these letters and drawings and things in it. And so, of course, the FBI, when she was prosecuted and tried and all that, gained possession of it. Clarifiers for her are the lily, the scales, and the child. We know that she has, first off, offered to testify. Um, we know that he, 47, has not ruled out the idea of giving her a pardon in return for her silence. Um, he can manipulate the justice system in that way to give her a new chance at life. This is what she's thinking. So then we have the actual letter slash drawing, and the clarifiers are clouds, house, and rider. So he is trying to, again, this is what he wants hidden, right? I didn't do it. I wasn't there. I don't know what you mean, Jeffrey, who, etc. And this is his person, himself. And he's trying to send the message that I would never do such a thing. Okay, again, fourth card. He's trying to block it by blustering and threatening and suing and all the rest of it. I don't think it's going to work. I think this bear is stepped into a bear trap, finally, um, that will affect his future adversely. I don't think it's going to work. Lawsuit of the Wall Street Journal notwithstanding, they would not have said it if they didn't have the evidence. And again, this is 47 in his prime doing his dirt. And then the clarifiers are the stork, the snake, and the bouquet. He's trying to make light of the fact that he used his poetic and artistic skill. I'm being really generous here for just bad ends. Do you know what I mean? Like when you hear the text, we have a secret, and isn't it great that friends can have secrets that never die and that nobody ever tells? And may you have, basically the line was, may you SA a 14-year-old every day. So happy birthday. May your new year be full of daily SAs of 14-year-olds. So he used his artistic talent for bad ends. And he wants that art, again, I am being generous here, hidden. So yeah, damn well he did it. You know he did it. Come on. But he learned at the feet of his mentor, um, Roy Cohn, Roy Cohn of the McCarthy era fame. And Roy Cohn taught him deny, deny, deny. Just deny. And that's all he knows how to do. It's all he's done his whole life. It has served him quite well. So, he's an old dog. He can't learn a new trick. He did it and he's trying to cover it up. He will do anything he can. He will sue the Wall Street Journal. He will dangle a pardon in front of Ghislaine Maxwell. He will do whatever he has to do so that people don't think that he wrote that and drew it, but he did. Okay. Thirsty work. All right. Now, speaking of uh, the picture, and then we'll go on to other things related to this Epstein thing. Speaking of the picture, who popped out of his hidey hole to comment on this? Well, actually, there's a couple of people, but in terms of the picture, who popped up? Pop goes the weasel, the weasel who popped out of his hole to comment by using you know whose favorite term, which is longhand for BS, which I'm not going to say that word on YouTube. But anyway, Vance popped up and said that this accusation about this drawing and this note from the Wall Street Journal is BS, he said, but he said the whole word and says, oh, sorry about using profanity. Well, why is that all of a sudden your stock in trade? Because your boss used it? But here's the point. Why is he saying anything at all? So I'm going to do the same thing I did before because I have two theories about why. One is he's being a loyal sycophant. He is just, being the lapdog and saying, yes, master. No, of course you didn't draw that picture and send that birthday card. Or it's the opposite, because what he said was, it's BS. And, if it really happened, uh, if you get accused of something, you have a right in this country to be presented with the evidence against you. So the Wall Street Journal needs to produce this picture and note. Well, 47 doesn't want that out. He doesn't want that out. So here is Vance saying, it didn't happen, so produce it. It just feels very much like a backhanded means of support for 47. It doesn't feel like support. It feels to me like undermining, but what do I know? And you're not here for my opinion. Well, some of you are, but most of you are here for the cards. So let's see. Was Vance supporting 47 or was he trying to undermine 47? I'll pull three for each option, and if I need to pull more, I will. Okay, and we're gonna let Spirit choose all the cards. Okay. So the first was Vance undermining 47 by saying to, the Wall Street Journal should produce the evidence because everybody wants to see it and 47 has a right to see it. Or was he trying to undermine 47? Because, of course, this evidence exists. And if it does get produced, which I think it will, talk about the base losing their minds, and we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so was he trying to be helpful or was he trying to be harmful? Okay, interesting cards. So was he trying to be helpful? We have the ring, the lily, and then a third clarifier, and I'll show you that in a minute. This is the card for loyalty, like you would expect a vice president to be, right? So loyal and, you know, innocent, benign, mean you no ill. But look at the third card. He knew that he would be creating buzz. In other words, both cards are telling me the same thing. Under the guise of looking sympathetic, he really is creating trouble for 47 because it's making everybody say, yeah, we want to see it. Let's see that picture that he drew. Let's see that. They do exist and it will be shown. So, but no one can accuse Vance of being against Trump, right? Like Trump can't say, you know, you're undermining me because Vance will come back and say, no, I even used your word. I used the term BS. I said it wasn't true. I said you had a right to face the evidence that they say they have. I'm on your side, but it really was to just stir the pot. And then we have more evidence of that. We have this is this second line is was he trying to harm Trump by doing this? Anchor, yes, to pull him down, to cast doubt, but in a really nice way that leaves Trump holding the bag and saying, wait, is he for me or is he against me? I can't really accuse him of being against me, but it kind of feels like he is. It's like damning someone with faint praise. You've heard that term, I hope. Like, uh, well, what do you think about so and so? Well, they're okay. That's faint praise. And really what it means is, I wouldn't go near them, steer clear. They're okay. So he used sort of artful language by using the BS word, and by saying, "Listen, this didn't happen," and he has a right to see the evidence when you know that there is the evidence, and that if the evidence comes to light, it will continue to sink 47. So I think Vance definitely had ulterior motives for coming out of his hidey hole and speaking on this. As does Vance, right? Poor Van, I mean, not Vance, poor Pence. Poor Pence, who thinks that he stands a chance with anybody because he doesn't. Pence is out here saying that the files should be, the names of the victims should be redacted, but that the files should be publicized. Speaking of these files, Dick Durbin, who is the Democratic senator from Illinois, state where I was born, says that he has evidence to make the case that Pam Bondi has ordered like tons of agents to work round the clock and comb through the zillions of pages in the Epstein files and flag every reference to 47. So now what do you think that's for? So that all of that material can be redacted, you know? So is, well, I mean, I don't even feel like I need to read this. I think this is just sort of information that you should have, that she is doing this. She is on the take, on the make, uh, probably got paid to do this. 47's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Yeah, release everything, Pam. Everything that you think is appropriate. Well, everything that Pam thinks is appropriate is not everything. And Pam is smart enough to say to herself, "Oh, anything that's appropriate." That means anything that does not reference 47. So she is putting agents on 24/7, tons of them, to comb through and flag these references so that whatever is released to the public, of course, will be incomplete. We know she's doing it. Dick Durbin has proof that she's doing it. So I'm not even going to look to see, is she doing it? Of course she's doing it. I want to know, will it do her any good? Um, will the cuts to these documents, right? The blacking out of certain things, the redaction, um, will that appease MAGA? Will the documents that MAGA ends up seeing, which the rest of us will see, will they be appeased by this? So I think I'm going to use the site for all the cutting. No, no, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the letter again. And this time, the letter stands for the Epstein files, all of those thousands of pages. And will people be satisfied, MAGA especially? We know we won't be satisfied, but will MAGA be satisfied with what Pam Bondi in the end shows them, shows us? Okay, so let's look for the letter. It stands for the file that we will be shown, but we know that that will be the incomplete file. agents have been tasked with ensuring that. So this is the file. I mean, we've got the whip, we've got the lily, the letter, the clover, the sun. It tells me that, sorry, you can see half my face, that the document will be prettied up. We know that the document will be prettied up. Um, so the question though is, well, you know what? We'll move on to a different question or similar, but we know that she is redacting the file to make it look as positive as possible for 47. That's a given. Dick Durbin has evidence of that. Okay, so there's that. Back to the picture and the little birthday note. How will the lawsuit, the libel suit against the Wall Street Journal go? How will that court case go? Now, I mean, I'm laughing, but on the other hand, it's not like the courts are not to some degree compromised. So it's not that funny. Like, uh, will that suit, will anything come of that lawsuit? And I think I'm going to use the tower for the courts. What will happen with that lawsuit that 47 has filed against the Wall Street Journal over the picture and the birthday note? How will that suit go? Okay, remember, we're looking for the tower. Okay, that's a lot of cards for that question, but the original line of five was a little bit, I wasn't sure. So, okay, so I asked how the lawsuit, the libel suit against the Wall Street Journal would go. So we have the heart, we have the birds. This is for the court that will decide. We have the rider, and then we have the key. So let's look at this heart. You know, um, these guys were very good friends for decades. Apparently, they fell out over some real estate thing, but they were friends for decades before that. So that friendship was deep and abiding. Clarifiers for it are the cross, the scythe, and the clouds. Remember, what 47 is trying to prove is that the Wall Street Journal libeled him, meaning he didn't write that, he didn't draw that, etc. Because this relationship, which was so close, these brother cousins who shared a common hobby, which was SA of uh, underage girls, allegedly, has proven to be quite the, quite the hair shirt for 47. It's causing him all kinds of pain, all kinds of pain. And he figures if he sues, people will say, well, why would you sue if if they hadn't committed libel? Like they must have committed libel because if it really were true that you were the author of those documents, why would you sue for libel? He's trying to obfuscate, he's trying to confuse things. There is a lot of talk, a lot of buzz, and he really wants it to go away. Who wants it to go away? He does. And he doesn't want people to know who he really is. I mean, the on the ball among us already know who he is, but remember that he's a narcissist, and people thinking poorly of him is really hard for him to take. He takes it, it's a narcissistic injury, and he reacts in a just over the top way. So he really wants this hidden to the point where he will go to court and run the risk of being found out because he says to himself, but what if I win? Because I win so often. Here's the court, and we have the mountain snake and the ring. And I suspect that what will happen is that he will do what he always does: delay, 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 particularly when it looks like things are not going his way. He will just delay, delay, delay so that there will be continuance, continuance, continuance. And he just hopes, I don't know what it's like magical thinking that I don't know that the people will wake up and have amnesia and forget about it or something. He just pushes stuff off. He's quite avoidant. And so that's what he will try to do when he sees that this case is not going to go his way. We have the rider, and the clarifiers are the woman, child, and the anchor. I feel like this is a reference to Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember, this was her property that the FBI had seized. So there she is. You want your new lease on life, Ghislaine? You want to be out of jail? Or Ghislaine, or however you say your name? Um, you better stay the course and keep your mouth shut. Or if they make you testify, say Trump who? Donald who? They weren't friends. He wasn't invited to the party. I've never seen this before in my life. So he figures she's his ace in the hole. She may well figure that as well. Remember, she's a bad actor. It's not like she's, had some sort of come to Jesus moment. She just wants an out of jail moment. Um, so he could pressure her. Key is at the end, and we have the star, the fish, and the moon. And I think that in the end, we will get the answer. It may take forever. And I think it will be an emotional moment all the way around because I think what will happen is that his reputation as someone who was very, very close to Jeffrey Epstein will be confirmed by whatever documentation the Wall Street Journal will, in fact, in the end, however long it takes, produce. So this is just delaying the inevitable for 47. I think that uh, they will win their case by proving that they have the documentation that they have. Remember, libel is where you print something about someone and whatever you've printed is not true. So all the Wall Street Journal has to do is prove that it is true and game over. But 47 will do everything he can, have his lawyers do everything that they can to 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 delay, delay, delay. Okay. Um, Final question. Well, and with Ghislaine Maxwell, I was going to look at her. I may do a deeper dive with her at another point, but I feel like, you know, she's got to be strategic. I know that her lawyers are saying things now like, President Trump's a great guy. So she may very well be susceptible to his um, tacit request, that she act like, nothing to see here, folks. What do you mean? I don't know anything. And in the end, what he would do on his way out would be to pardon her. I think that's the carrot that's being dangled in front of her. And there is no other carrot. Um, she's appealed her case. I think she can still appeal, to a higher court. But this will because she's a bad actor too. This will look to her like her get out of jail card is to do Trump's bidding. So we'll see. Okay. Now this last question is kind of deep. I read, Michael Cohen, remember the former fixer of the president who did time for lying to Congress and was thrown under a bus by 47, and who has absolutely had multiple come to Jesus moments. He is on the right side of things now. He was Trump's right-hand man for a long time, his fixer, his doer, he was a bad guy, but, he has changed his stripes. Apparently, it is possible. And I will tell you this, he's an excellent, excellent writer. Uh, he writes on Substack, and he is very, very good. And I would suggest that you go to Substack and read his most recent article. So it would be the one dated today, the 18th of July, July. And so I wanted to quote from it because we know that uh, MAGA is spinning. And I know that I, in my writing and also here on YouTube, will frequently um, remind all of us to work on extending grace to those people in our acquaintance who will decide to come in out of the cold, snap out of their MAGA coma, and want to be welcomed back into the society of uh, right-thinking people. But Michael Cohen made a very good observation, and here's the quote. He says, he's talking about the angst that's going on the MAGA side, and he said, "Don't mistake this for some kind of awakening." I mean, we all want to think that it is an awakening, that Cher has kind of snapped them out of it. Um, he says, "Don't mistake this for some kind of awakening. It's not morality driving this backlash against Trump. It's not morality. It's buyer's remorse. They don't just feel betrayed, they feel humiliated." So, you know, it's not that they don't still harbor racist, xenophobic ideology, because, I mean, isn't that who MAGA attracted? They needed someone who gave it the stamp of approval, who made it okay to be like that. And I just want to, remind you, I've always talked about the Bastille stormers, these people who stormed the Bastille. And you see a lot of politicians, Pence, Vance, uh, some of them people in the manosphere, like Fuentes and um, what is that idiot that said Sandy Hook never happened? Him. They're all, and also Bannon, Jones, and Bannon. They're all seemingly kind of jockeying for a position. They see that the people are realizing that the king not only has venous insufficiency, uh, he has no clothes, that he is spoiled goods. And not only is he spoiled goods, he is really ugly in his disparagement of the people who followed him all these years. And they want to be his successor. But I will remind you that in the time of the Bastille, it's not like the people were storming out of the Bastille or opening up the Bastille and then everybody stormed Versailles, which is where the king was. It's not that they were wanting to get rid of the king so that they could put another king in his place. Something very different emerged in France than a monarchy. And so, this sort of, I don't know, it makes me think about a few things. One, if the successor to 47 is Vance, Vance is also a puppet, of course, allegedly, and for entertainment purposes only. And he is the puppet of Project 2025. Project 2025, their goal is not to win people over in the way that Trump's was, it's to dominate people, to make people stupid and obsolete and sick. And that's their playbook because they think that that unwashed MAGA base is, you know, dirt under their feet. Of course, they think that about the rest of us too. So, I mean, is Project 2025 thinking they can lift someone up, whether it's Vance or whomever, to take 47's place and that MAGA will follow that person? Because I'm pretty sure that that can't happen, that that won't happen. And then you have the rest of us who are saying, well, what should our response be to these now disenfranchised, disillusioned, angry Trump, MAGA people be? Should we show them grace and welcome them back in if their ideology about race and immigrants and all that is still what it was? Is extending them grace the right answer? I mean, I think this we I mean, it'll be great when you know who's gone. Don't get me wrong. I will be I will go in the streets and dance over that, but it will only mark the next part of this journey. And the next part of this journey promises to be really chaotic, shambolic, to quote Rachel Maddow. She loves to use the word shambolic, which just means everything is in a shambles, like all over the place, disorganized and chaotic. Um, I mean, it makes us ripe for civil war. So, extending grace so that we can all say kumbaya is a very 60s kind of a hope, but we're not living in the 60s anymore. It's 2025. So I guess I'm trying to think of a good question that I want to phrase. Um, I guess let's take baby steps, right? One step at a time. What will MAGA's next move be? What will MAGA's next move be? They will not be looking for another leader. Mm-mm. Because I think they will have learned their lesson with him. So what will they do? Okay, I'm going to use, I think I'll use the garden, I think. No, I'm going to use the birds. Because they will be uh, flapping around and trying to get their bearings because the rug's been pulled under from under them. There was never really a rug there, but they thought there was. Um, and again, as Cohen said, they're not just betrayed, they're humiliated. And nobody likes feeling humiliated. When you feel humiliated, you feel disempowered, right? So what's the next thing that you want to do? You want to feel powerful again. That could be very dangerous. So I want to look at the birds and I just want to see in this moment, because that's really all we can look at. Energy will change. I'm not predicting so much as I'm looking at the energy of things right now, while 47 has backed himself way into a corner and no one is looking to come help him. Not really. Those people who look like they're backing him up and helping him, they're really not. They're helping him fall right on his butt, like Vance. Yeah, bring it out. We want to see it. Trump's going, no, 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 we don't. I mean, I have to say I'm taking some satisfaction from this. But I do think that we need to take very seriously what MAGA's next move will be. So we'll call them the birds and see what's around them. Will they be open to our extending of grace, or will they slap our hand away on their way to create, you know, chaos? Let's see. Okay, remember, we're looking for the birds. Okay, here's the birds. So this stands for MAGA. They're all over the place. They are together in their anger, in their disappointment, in their humiliation and embarrassment. So where will they go? You know what? I feel like I'm going to pull my final three cards. Hmm. All right. And this will be my last question. It's kind of a long one. So we have the coffin, the key, we have MAGA, we have the garden, and we have the dog. So things have ceased to be what they are. MAGA will never be what it was a week ago, 10 days ago. There is a transformation in the works as things dissolve. But even though they're allegiance to their leader is dissolving, they themselves are still an organism and they've got to figure out, well, what does that mean? Who do we want to become? This is the card for transformation. Second card is the key, and I like that very much. Got MAGA in the middle. I can mirror this key with the garden. I think this is suggesting, not to sound all Pollyanna, but it is suggesting that our job is to, this is us, extend grace to those who would have our grace. That won't be everybody. And it will be good to know the difference. But when people do, whether they're relatives or friends, I have a relative who's a MAGA person, probably more than one, but one that I know of. Um, when they come to us, we need to um, receive them with grace. And that doesn't mean saying, I told you so. Uh, because how we receive them will dictate who they become. If we receive them with friendship and sympathy, I mean, it's not the easiest thing. I mean, I know what's coming out of my mouth, but even for me, it's not the easiest thing. It will help dictate who they become. All right. So let's go back to this transformation card. We're looking at MAGA, remember. The clarifiers for this first card are the stars, the ship, and the moon. The stars, of course, is the future, but the stars are also how these people communicate, right? I mean, and so we're talking about message boards and YouTube channels and all kinds of technological ways that they connect because they are asking themselves the same question. How do we move forward? Who are we now? I mean, you got to have some, I do anyway, some sympathy for that. So I don't want anybody coming in my comments talking about how can you have sympathy? I'm a Black woman of a certain age and I get to do what I want. If I want to have some empathy for human beings who thought they were on a certain path and then they have the path snatched away from them, if I want to have some empathy for that, I get to do it. You don't have to. I'm suggesting that you do, but you don't have to. Do you? But we have some sway in who they become. If we are, this is the card for the helper, the deprogrammer, the therapist, the friend, the relative. These people will be in the dark. Are you willing to sit with them in the dark? I am. Just don't call me the N word. Okay, the key clarifiers are the tree, the cross, and the whip. The key is to recognize that in terms of their health, their mental and emotional health, they are really wounded. They are really in pain. And I mean, they're human beings. They may not think that we are, they may not have thought we are, but they are. And they are in pain. This is the card for health. And the key says this, it's important for us to remember this. They thought they'd found their way, and then the lights went out, and they're humiliated. So they are dealing with a lot. Here they are, MAGA, confused. Confused. Yeah, and again, we may say, how in the hell can you be confused? I mean, but you have your path, they have their path. A lot of them were confused. And now a lot of them are full of anxiety and worry and fear because they're having to see the world and themselves through new eyes. It's not an easy thing to do. The garden is the rest of us. And there's some lovely cards here. So we have the stork, we have the ring, and we have the lily. I mean, we can fight them, we can call them names too, we can humiliate them and pour humiliation on top of the humiliation that they've already received by from you know who's called them stupid. Or we can be better than that. And we can be committed to being better than that. You know, we can be committed to trying to be that more perfect union. We're far from perfect, but being better. We can be committed to the healing of this rift among us and between us. That's the stance that we have to take. Or else we could be Cain and Abel, and I don't know who gets to be Cain and who gets to be Abel, but nobody stands in the end when we come at them the way they come at us. The dog is our fifth card. Clarifiers are the anchor, the tower, and the mountain, which is to say, even if we extend grace, there will be those who are like, your grace. I don't want anything to do with you. Um, I am, I am, I am stuck in my stance that white is right and America and immigrants suck. That this is, and you can't tell me any different. I may be on an island by myself, but that's what I believe. So there will be a lot of people still stuck on stupid. I'm just saying. Not all of them will want our grace. And it's important to understand that and say, okay, again, you do you. I'll extend grace to those who want my grace, but you all, do you. And then I drew the postscript. So before I do that, I always like to take whatever the last card is. There will be holdouts. Again, people whose identity was caught up in this white nationalist stuff. Um, and they will have an opportunity to either transform or perish. And when I say perish, I don't mean necessarily, you know, in that earthly way, but in terms of their soul's development. But that's up to them. I mean, I'm not a Bible person. I mean, whatever, but uh, Jesus at the pool at Bethesda ran into a guy, and the guy said, "Oh, you just see the orb?" The guy said, "Jesus, heal me." He couldn't walk. And Jesus looked at him and said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" And that is the question. Do these people want to be healed? Because if they do, the answer that Jesus gave the guy was, then take up your bed and walk, which is to say, we are in charge of our own healing and whether we do it or not. We can't make people think or be whom they are entrenched in not thinking or being, but we can hold a door open just in case they want to take up their beds and walk. So I drew postscript. just a three card thing. Is there anything else I can tell us about this? And I have the house, the letter, and I'll hold off on the last card. So the house, what kind of a house do we want to become? The jury's out. How sacred to us is the Constitution? And of course, I asked the court that as well, because some members of that court do not seem to hold it in as high esteem as they should. So the jury is out on whether we will be a house divided or a house united. We know that a house divided cannot stand. What did Ben Franklin say? He said, somebody asked him, so what did we do here? And the guy and Franklin said, uh, you know, uh, we've created a country and a constitution if you can keep it. If you can keep it. Jury's out, but um, there are things that we can do to make our stance clear. And hopefully, extending grace will be part of it. All right, you all, thank you so much for watching. I have no voice left. Uh, Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. I just want to say one word. I get tons of people asking for private readings, and I'm happy to do that. There's information in my under every video about how to contact me for that. But understand that there is a waiting list. So if I don't get back to you right away, most people are very cool about that and understand. Then that's the reason why. It's not that I am blowing anybody off or, ignoring anybody or not taking seriously the fact that you'd like a reading. So just be patient. I'm pretty full for the summer. But if you'd like to book for the fall, there's a mechanism to do that. Just you're essentially sending me an email, and I will get back to you as I can. I still do plan to do some um, live personal readings on the anniversary of the channel, and that anniversary is August 1st. Um, it's the first year anniversary, so I thought it would be a nice gift to do some private readings. And for each person, I'll do like a 5 card reading, as many people as I can. I'll probably stay for a couple of hours till my voice gives out. But it's a thank you. So if you're waiting to get a reading and you'd like something sooner, that day, I'll publicize later how to find that live, because this is always recorded. But I'll put the information up when we're closer to the time. But anyway, I appreciate all of your really kind emails to me, your lovely notes on my Substack, your comments on my videos. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do feel like we've created a little village here, and you all are really dear to me, and so thank you. And I will see you soon. Take care.